If it's hard to feel sympathy for a narcissistic, bigoted, hate-filled internet troll, you might want to dig deep for one-time Breitbart technology editor Milo Yiannopoulos. This week, he lost his job and his book deal over a free speech issue. When last we left Milo Yiannopoulos, he was engaged in an ugly Twitter smackdown with comedian Leslie Jones over her Ghostbusters movie.
Online trolls sent her a barrage of racist tweets.
For that, Yiannopoulos was barred from the social media site, prompting him to predict this is the beginning of the end for Twitter.
I will never stop making jokes about taboo subjects.
The short-lived dust-up breathed a new fire into the dragon. Yiannopoulos was a hot commodity on the lecture circuit.
Overnight mayhem on campus.
But when a violent protest broke out at UC Berkeley earlier this month, his appearance was abruptly canceled.
Well, this is a university. This is a place you're supposed to be able to hear anyone.
Yiannopoulos was scheduled to speak on friendlier turf this week, Washington's annual CPAC conference, until an old videotape emerged where he appears to defend men having sex with boys.
In the homosexual world, particularly, some of those relationships between younger boys and older men help those young boys to discover who they are.
That was enough for Simon & Schuster to pull his book deal. Yiannopoulos offered an apology of sorts, but said his words were taken out of context. He then resigned from Breitbart. Defiantly.
America has a colossal free speech problem.
A costly one for Mr. Yiannopoulos. Well, this may be an unpopular point of view, but I thought it was disingenuous of Simon & Schuster to pull this book deal. He's been saying the same things. I mean, just because a videotape or an audio tape emerged, I mean, they know where he stood on these things. I mean, it's not just a free speech issue. You know, it's like they feel like they have to punish him for a very virile, outburst from the public. That's what happened. They said, oh, well, we can't possibly touch it now. Why? Nothing has changed. Not one thing. Just because this surfaced, I find it really chicken on the part of Simon & Schuster.
I think you're right that Simon & Schuster was not taking a moral stand at the beginning or now. Simon & Schuster is a business that is trying to maximize profit. That's what they're trying to do. I disagree that there's anything of a free speech issue in here. No one has any right to publish a book for $250,000. No one has a right to speak at CPAC. These are privileges that are extended to people who are allegedly interesting and part of an interesting discussion. Milo Yiannopoulos has never really been part of that. So I have no problem with the fact that people are making rational, business-driven, in the case of Simon & Schuster's case.
I wouldn't be surprised if he went back at that book deal.
It was well, I know he's shopping it around to other publishers right now. I think it is interesting. I would like to go in a time machine, go back 10 years and say, so the largest annual gathering of conservatives was going to host this guy, Milo Yiannopoulos, a man whose only real political talent seems to be angering college students. Right. He's very good at that, and the fact that he was a force that people were rallying behind is really remarkable.
Yeah. I mean, Josh said the big point I wanted to make much more eloquently than I possibly could, but I would agree with him that this is not a free speech issue. Milo Yiannopoulos can stand on the corner today and say that he thinks it's great when priests have sex with boys who are entering puberty and that that's a valuable thing and should be praised. He can still do it. Not entitled to his job at Breitbart, not entitled to his book contract. None of us, by the way, none of us are entitled to say something that many people may find incredibly offensive and keep our job, keep our reputation, keep whatever speaking gigs we've lined up on the side. It's just not how it works. And it frustrates me that, no offense, I feel like sometimes we are
just saying it's disingenuous.
I buy the disingenuous component because we knew that he had many abhorrent views. We didn't know that he endorsed, is pederasty the proper term rather than pedophilia?
He's denying that.
Well, but I don't think that his First Amendment rights have been violated here.
Well, I agree with Josh and Adam. His First Amendment rights certainly have not been violated. This is a guy who got banned from Twitter. Twitter is a sewer. How do you get banned from Twitter? In his case, he got banned from Twitter by whipping up a very scary hate campaign against Leslie Jones, the actress. And that didn't seem to bother Simon & Schuster.
Exactly.
That didn't seem to bother Breitbart.
Right.
But I guess he's crossed one line too many. I don't feel sorry for him. What I found interesting about this was how this became such a big story that we're devoting a segment to it. Most people have never heard of him, and most people don't read Breitbart. And yet it's become one of the big stories of the week. He'll probably get a $500,000
Probably.
book deal at this point.
I expect him to get a book deal.
Right,
I
right.
expect he can self-publish and, do just the same thing. He's right about that. He'll get many other speaking gigs. I think the folks that were so ready to toss him over when they started to really look at who he was, those people who are supposed to have some intellectual weight to their conversation about some things I might disagree with, took this as an out. Oh, good. He's a pedophile. Great. Woo, okay, we can get rid of him now. Which is, that's what they wanted to do. That's fine. But I think you need to go in your little room and say to yourself, all the other stuff was fine with you until this guy decided that, that he was going to
Racism
come out.
is fine.
Yeah.
Misogyny was
misogyny.
fine.
Anything else, the nastiest possible stuff. It is not a free speech issue, as we've all discussed here. You get what you pay for. Breitbart, of course, Breitbart made its money on this stuff, continues to make its money on stuff. The only reason that Breitbart's kicking him out now is because they don't want to deal with the pedophilia stuff.
It's unclear whether he really quit or whether they let him go.
It doesn't matter, because they could have said, no, you stay, if they wanted to stand up for him. They didn't do that. So they're glad for him to go.
The most astonishing element is the fact that, as a media creature, that this moment seemed so ripe for him, right? That 2.5 years ago, Milo Yiannopoulos was a boring tech writer writing for Business Insider. He essentially created this character as this flamboyant, gay,
like
offensive,
But in real life.
Right, and that there's something about this particular moment where that is the kind of behavior that's rewarded by our public.
One reason that I think he was rewarded for it is that this is a moment in which conservatives control the country to an extent that they have not in recent memory. Yet he, with his talent for provocation, talent for sparking backlash, was able to allow conservatives to feel victimized in a way that they just really aren't right now. So that was part of his genius, I think.